Your emotions are like the roots of a tree, weaving this intricate pattern that shapes how you connect with others. We're diving into the world of attachment styles, and it's basically your unique way of doing relationships. The good, the complicated, and the downright fascinating. So imagine your emotions as these roots. Early on, life plants seeds in the soil, and voila, your attachment style begins to sprout. Let's start with the cool kid on the block, the secure attachment style. This one's like a sturdy tree, confidently throwing branches out, soaking up all the goodness from healthy relationships. It's like the superhero of connections, unshaken by storms and standing tall. Then, we have the anxious attachment style, the vines of the emotional world. These folks might wrap themselves around relationships, constantly reaching out for reassurance, always climbing towards closeness like they're afraid of being left hanging. It's like they have this built-in radar for abandonment. On the flip side, we've got the avoidant attachment style, the lone wolves of the emotional forest. Imagine them as cacti, a bit prickly when it comes to letting people get too close. They thrive in independence, like they're wandering through the emotional desert of life. But here's the kicker. These emotional patterns aren't etched in stone. They're more like jazz, flexible and responding to the ups and downs of life. The secure tree becomes this resilient force, weathering any storm and growing stronger. The vines learn to trust more deeply, finding stability in their climb. Even the cacti, initially resistant to closeness, might discover the beauty of growing together. Understanding your attachment style is like grabbing a magnifying glass and exploring the roots beneath the surface. It's a journey within, unraveling the source of your relational quirks. Think of it as your own personal GPS, guiding you through the roller coaster ride of human connections. It's a mirror reflecting how you do intimacy, vulnerability, and even dealing with separations. Your attachment style isn't some rigid rule book. It's a flexible guide, an invitation to self-awareness and growth within the wild, wonderful forest of relationships. So let's embark on this journey, where your emotional roots meet resilience, trust, and a deeper understanding of what makes you, well, you in the grand tapestry of human connections. Now let's dive a bit deeper into this whole attachment style gig. Imagine you're sitting in a cozy coffee shop, sipping on your favorite brew, and we're chatting about the emotional universe that shapes your relationships. Secure attachment style, the resilient tree. All right, let's kick things off with the secure attachment style, the superhero of emotional landscapes. Picture a robust tree, its roots firmly planted in the ground. This tree, my friend, is you when you have a secure attachment style. In the world of relationships, you're like the steady ship navigating the seas. You're comfortable with closeness, trust others easily, and handle separations without losing your cool. Storms may come, but you weather them like a pro. Your relationships are like a well-watered garden, thriving and blossoming. You see, a secure attachment style is shaped by positive early experiences. Maybe you had caregivers who were consistently there for you, creating a safe haven for your emotions. So you learned that relationships are reliable and people can be trusted. It's like having a solid foundation that allows you to explore the world with confidence. Anxious attachment style, the clinging vines. Now let's swing over to the anxious attachment style, the vines in the emotional jungle. Imagine these vines reaching out, constantly seeking reassurance and climbing towards closeness, afraid of being left behind. If you resonate with the anxious style, you might find yourself feeling a bit jittery in relationships. There's this underlying fear of abandonment, like you're always on the lookout for signs that your emotional ship might be sailing away without you. Early on, your emotional soil might have been a bit rocky. Maybe there were moments when caregivers weren't as consistent or responsive as you needed them to be. So, you learn to be hyper-aware of any potential threats to the connection. Now, it's not that you're needy or overly clingy, you just crave that emotional closeness, and the fear of losing it can send those vines into overdrive. It's like you've got an emotional radar, always tuned into the frequencies of connection. Avoidant attachment style, the independent cacti. Time to explore the avoidant attachment style, the lone cacti in the emotional desert. Picture these cacti, standing tall and independent, a bit prickly when it comes to letting others get too close. If this is your style, you're all about self-reliance. Closeness can be a bit uncomfortable for you, like you need your emotional space to roam free in the vast desert of independence. It's not that you don't value relationships, you just prefer a bit of distance. In the early days, your emotional soil might have been a bit arid. Maybe caregivers weren't consistently available, leading you to develop this self-sufficient mindset. You learn to navigate the emotional landscape on your own, and that's become your default mode. Now, it's not that you're opposed to love or connection. You just approach it with caution, like a cactus conserving water in the desert. Too much closeness might feel a bit overwhelming, and you're all about maintaining that sense of autonomy. The jazz of attachment styles, a dynamic symphony. Now, here's the cool part. These attachment styles aren't static. It's not like you're stuck playing the same tune forever. Life happens, and your attachment style responds like jazz, improvising and adapting. Let's say you started off with an anxious attachment style. With the right experiences and personal growth, those vines can learn to trust more deeply. You might find a rhythm that allows for a secure, flourishing connection. Even our lone cacti, the avoidantly attached, can experience a transformation. Life's experiences might teach them that closeness doesn't necessarily mean losing independence. Picture the cactus expanding its roots, finding new ways to thrive in the rich soil of connection. And of course, our secure trees, they're the resilience champs. Life's storms might shake things up, but those roots go deeper, and the branches reach higher. They're like the jazz band that keeps playing, evolving, and creating a masterpiece with each new experience. Unraveling the roots. Understanding your attachment style. So here you are, sitting in this cozy coffee shop, sipping on your brew, and you're probably thinking, how the heck do I figure out my attachment style? Well, it's a bit like being your own emotional detective, peeling back the layers to uncover the roots beneath the surface. Think about your past relationships. What patterns emerge? How do you typically respond to closeness? Do separations feel like a temporary setback, or do they trigger an emotional storm? These are clues that can point you toward your attachment style. Now, don't stress if you see a bit of everything. Attachment styles aren't black and white. They're more like a palette of colors that blend and mix. You might have traits of both anxious and avoidant styles, or you might lean more towards one. And hey, this isn't about slapping a label on yourself and calling it a day. It's about understanding the melody of your emotional world, recognizing the patterns that play out in your relationships. It's like having this roadmap that guides you through the twists and turns of connection, the mirror of attachment, reflecting your relationship dance. Your attachment style is like this magic mirror, reflecting how you do relationships. Hold it up, and you might see moments of vulnerability, patterns of trust, and how you navigate the dance of connection. Let's say you notice a tendency to get a bit anxious when your partner needs some space. That's the anxious vines reaching out, afraid of being left in the emotional dust. Or maybe you find yourself feeling a bit uncomfortable when things get too close and cozy. That's the avoidant cactus asking for a bit of breathing room. Understanding these reflections isn't about self-judgment. It's about self-awareness. It's about recognizing the dance steps of your attachment style and figuring out if they're leading you towards a harmonious waltz or a tangled tango. The journey within, embracing growth and resilience. All right, let's talk growth. Your attachment style isn't a life sentence. It's more like a ticket to an ongoing journey of self-discovery and personal development. Remember, life is the jazz of attachment styles, always improvising, always evolving. If you lean towards anxious, the journey might involve learning to trust more deeply, tuning down the radar a bit, and realizing that separations don't spell disaster. It's about finding a rhythm that allows for closeness without the fear of losing it. For our avoidant friends, the journey might involve exploring the richness of connection, discovering that closeness doesn't necessarily mean giving up independence. It's like the cactus learning that in the right soil, with the right nutrients, it can thrive and bloom. And for our secure folks, it's about continuing to be the resilience champs. Life's storms might shake things up, but those roots run deep. It's about embracing the journey of growth, continually reaching for new heights in your emotional connections. Conclusion: your attachment style symphony. So there you have it, the symphony of attachment styles. Whether you're the secure tree, the anxious vines, or the avoidant cactus, your emotional landscape is a masterpiece in the making. In this cozy coffee shop of introspection, you've sipped on the brew of self-discovery, unraveled the roots beneath the surface, and explored the dance steps of your attachment style. It's not about perfection. It's about the beauty of the journey, the jazz of growth, and the resilience of your emotional roots. So, as you navigate the forest of relationships, remember, you're the composer of your attachment style symphony. Embrace the melody, dance through the rhythms, and let the music of connection play on. Cheers to the wild, wonderful journey of being you in the grand tapestry of human connections.